Now, stress can cause inflammation, right? Insomnia, anxiety, depression, anger. We all have these emotions. These are not diseases, by the way, even though drug companies like to do that and call them a disease. These are just imbalances of normal behaviors that become excessive. The problem is these also trigger inflammation. There's a study that I always like to tell my patients that, in the biosphere, that was that study where they put those people that were kind of like astronauts in that dome in Arizona, pure air, pure water. They were like super smart. They were like astronaut type people. They have multi talents of education of triple PhDs and stuff like that. And they put them in this biosphere to check like if they were going to go like to a different planet, like a lab rat of humans in this like perfectly controlled environment. Two of the people didn't get along. And over a period of time, even though the water was pure and the air, oxygen was pumped in as pure, and then the food was organic and pure, and their body mass index, meaning they exercised and they all were fit and all stuff. Two of them didn't get along, and they didn't like each other, and they were stuck in there for many years, and their inflammatory markers in their blood were off the chart. So you can control, like someone can say, hey, I'm eating a whole food plant-based diet. I eat organic. I don't use, I use green and clean products, and they hate their job, or they hate their relationship, or they're angry at their, family members, or they're just, they're just consumed with the news all day long and getting, angry at that. And that can trigger inflammatory responses. And we can actually show and demonstrate that inflammation. That's why we want to help reduce the stress by other means, which I'll explain in a minute as well. So what are the solutions? Let's talk about solutions now, right? So remember, stacking foods, the environment, and even mentally and emotionally and spiritually, like we can have those emotions trigger inflammation. So let's talk about solutions. What can we do to help now reduce the inflammation? So let's start with the diet. Diet, you want to be eating, a rainbow colored food. You read my book, you watch the other videos. I'll explain what a phytonutrient is, what an antioxidant is, what fiber is, what's an anti-inflammatory protein. That will all be discussed before in my book and my other videos. So please, if you don't know what that is, go back and read those things or listen to those things. We need 50 grams a day of protein as a female on average, 60 grams for a male. We need at least 35 grams of fiber hydrate. Okay. Now you don't need more. Everybody's like protein, like crazy. No, it's the efficiency of the protein. It's the anti-inflammatory. Is it damaging or not your kidneys? And so when we look at colon cancer rates in other countries that are eating tons and tons of fiber, like in Africa, Africa has the lowest rate of colon cancer in certain parts of rural Africa. They're having almost 60 grams plus of fiber a day just because they don't eat anything from a package in rural countries, right? It's just straight fresh from the farm. Not even, I still have packaged items, even if it's, plant-based, but, we still live in a world where there's convenience. But when they don't even have that convenience, their higher fiber rates actually lowers their colon cancer risk to the point where it's almost non-existent, less than 1 in 100,000. And yet here, it's the number 2 cause of death of cancer in both men and women is colon cancer. So eating more plant-based foods, anti-inflammatory foods, okay, will improve your BMI, will improve lowering inflammation. I do recommending food sensitivity testing. That's something that, you can contact our office and set up an appointment, but we can definitely do that for you. We check all the foods, plants, animals, vegetables, grains, and legumes. Again, we're trying to transition people to eat healthy, but some people might say, well, I still need to eat a little salmon, or I still need a little bit of eggs, or I still need to have a little of this or that. We still want to check all the foods, whether they're immediate or whether they're delayed. So like on this person here, grape and raisin, they have an immediate for the grape and raisin and a delayed. Now, this person definitely, they were actually telling me like, oh, they drink a glass of wine every night with dinner. Oh, they heard it was good for their heart health. It helps them, her and her husband just kind of relax at the end of the day of a hard work day. And, they're not buying the cheapest wine. They're not also buying the most expensive wine. So saying, it's kind of like in a beverage to help, kind of take the edge off. But what she didn't understand that is triggering an inflammatory response within an hour of her consuming it. And then up to 3 to 4 days later, she can have a little bit of a reaction. So she's having it every night for dinner. Her chronic inflammation state, that's one thing on top of some of these other things. So again, she had some fajitas, or she maybe had some, maybe some peppers, or maybe a wild caught salmon with some tomato sauce or some chopped tomatoes on that. And maybe in the morning she had some cashew butter, and maybe, maybe some hot chocolate, or maybe a piece of, dark chocolate. These are all the things that would be stacking in that patient. Now, one thing that we can teach our patients is not only what is the trigger of their inflammatory foods, but it's not just avoiding it. We will then teach the person how to reintroduce it specifically. So your body is going to learn to like it again. So it's not a foreign invader. And by doing so, we also have to check the microbiome. We always have to fix the microbiome. So go back to the microbiome lecture, because I'll explain how we do that systemically and systematically to make sure that the patient is able to tolerate more of these foods. In the beginning, it is going to be some avoidance, but later on, a lot of these foods like the cacao and the cantaloupes and the garlic and the raisins and the bell peppers and the quinoa are very, very good for you. So we want to have those nutrients back in the body, but there's a specific way that you can train your immune system so it's no longer attacking or triggering inflammatory responses. Now, other ways to avoid inflammation is exercise. Yeah, I have a whole section in my book talking about yoga, all the clinical benefits of yoga, even doing a little bit of cardiovascular, doing a little bit of weight training for those people, especially who have osteoporosis. 20 minutes twice a day of just walking. That could be, if that's the simplest thing you can do, your numbers will be great. Your HDL will go up, your blood sugar will get better, your blood pressure. 20 minutes twice a day is the minimum that we need to be doing. Okay. And here's my dog, that Winnie, that comes to our clinic every day. She's our therapy dog. She joins us in yoga. So just letting you know, if you ever come to our clinic, you see her, she'll be in the class as well. Meditation and mindfulness. Super important. Remember, I showed you that stress, I showed you the anger, the depression, the insomnia, the anxiety. Well, how do we calm that down? Conventionally people think, oh, I take an antidepressant, I take an anti-anxiety pill. That's not helping. It helps the symptoms, but it doesn't heal or fix or resolve the problem, right? Then people take these drugs for decades. They come to me like, oh, I've been taking that for 30 years. I go, you're still depressed after 30 years? You're still having anxiety? No one's ever looked at why you have anxiety, right? We want to get to the root cause. Meditation and mindfulness, I like to call it more meditation right now. But this other word is kind of trending and popular. So, anyways, people use mindfulness as well. But there's ways to actually monitor that. So those people who need help, like, I can't meditate. We teach people to meditate in our clinic. We offer them that service. But we also say, like, hey, somebody wants to do something at home with an app, we'll teach them, like, hey, go to this website, grab this technology, and you can actually test your heart rate coherence. You can learn and you can do some biofeedback and find out if you're doing a meditation, or if you're just reading something, or you're looking at a wonderful picture, maybe your grandchildren, or maybe a sunset, or maybe your spouse or your partner or a loved one, or your favorite song is playing that you can put in your phone. We can measure, is your heart rate coherence? Is the electrical impulse in between each beat balanced? And if it's balanced, you're in this parasympathetic state where your natural killer cell function is increased, which is your immune system. Your inflammatory responses will go down. Your blood sugar will improve. Your cardiovascular improvements will improve. And more importantly, for cancer patients, patients that are in this state more often than not with stage 4 cancer live the longest regardless of the treatments. Because when people are not stressed, remember, you're not triggering this whole suppression of the immune system and explosion of inflammation in your body. So these are simple things. They're not drugs. It's not, someone that has trouble changing their diet, or maybe they can't even eat much. Can we still help improve and lower inflammation with and increase our immune system function with just our mind and body? Yes, this has been scientifically proven in hundreds of studies, and we actually can measure that. And now we can find what is their meditation. What do they need to do? What do you need to do to get you into the zone? And what makes me get into the zone might be completely different. So now we have to bio-individualize our treatments, what foods you might need to be eating if you're plant-based, but what also foods you might need to avoid. What type of exercise? Maybe you have limitations. How do we modify the asanas and the yoga postures? Or how do we change the meditative practice so that you're in this state and not stressing out too much because you feel like you can't get relaxed? These are things that you can easily do, and we will definitely teach people in our clinic who come see us. And we also do Zoom consultations, by the way. So we see people all around the world. Now, other things I was talking about, filtering water. So again, like EWG. So this is like our Albuquerque water, just giving an example. So if someone just had an activated carbon, filter, like a Brita or Pure, for example, those things are at the back of the fridge. It's helpful. As you can see, it pulls out a lot. But remember, I showed you, like, we have really high arsenic and we have really high uranium and chromiums and nitrates and radiums. It wouldn't take that out. So is this better than nothing? Absolutely. But is it good enough? No, it's not, especially if we test someone's blood and they come back with something that's very high, their urine, and they come back with something that's very high, then that's becoming more their potential source of toxicity. And investing in something like just a generic reverse osmosis would be best. Any kind of filtered water is better than none, but you always want to look at what might get better. Some people can distill water if they want to, that's fine. But I just like to put a simple system that's not expensive. You definitely want to add trace minerals afterwards, because reverse osmosis removes trace minerals. And later on, I'll be giving a lecture on our website in a month or two on structuring water and how you can actually then change energetics of water. You really want to try to avoid tap water as much as you can, and avoid the bottled water, because you're getting the microplastics and it's just waste of the environment of more plastic. So these are things that the average family, a reverse osmosis costs about $250, costs 2 cents a gallon afterwards. I see people go to the store, grocery store, 39 cents to 49 cents a gallon of water that they're trying to pay for. They are getting taken, right? Like, you can literally buy a machine, put it underneath your sink or on top, and filter your water and save lots and lots of money. But that it is a little bit more of an investment up front, but per grocery bill, you're definitely going to save money going down the line. Eating organic foods. Okay, so go to Environmental Working Group, go to look up Dirty Dozen, trying to, when you eat these foods, which people should be eating, this is where you must be getting organic. You want to eat the top things that are heavily sprayed. That's those foods. So if you're eating peppers or strawberries, or having strawberry jam for your children's PB&J, then definitely needs to be organic. You're having kale or collard greens or peaches or cherries, or these are things that, tomatoes, I'm having ketchup, I'm having salsa. Those things should be organic. Oh, I'm doing celery juice. It should be organic. Why? Because it's the most heavily sprayed as of last year. Every year we update these lists. They update these lists. Avoid ultra processed foods. Again, packaged foods that are coming, especially from car windows, right? This is fast food. You want to lower your salt and you want to lower the sugar. That's also a whole section in my book, so I won't cover that right now. You want to use green cleaners. You want to make sure that you're also using clean body care. Okay, these are just some examples. So just, you can go to any health store now, you can go online, and you just want to have the Environmental Working Group also even has like a skincare division where you can look at like what are how toxic, they scored on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very low risk and 10 being high risk. And so you can look at, what are the products based on the company, because some products, some companies, believe it or not all their products are good. It might be like their soap is good, but or the shampoo is good, but the conditioner doesn't pass. So then they might sell you in a twin pack for cheaper. Like, no, you got to kind of go and navigate. But now they have apps for all these things. So it's easy to go through the store. You can scan a label and you can say, okay, is this good? I tell people the next shampoo bottle, the next soap bottle, the next cleaner, change it out in your house. And slowly over time, things will get better. And again, if you can go even further, I started now going more for cleaner clothing, supporting more local, supporting more smaller shops rather than sweatshops in other countries that are unfair labor practices. Use natural fibers. A lot of people have skin issues and eczemas and dermatitises. Even the bedding that these are all the things that you can get now super cheap online. It's available. So it's not like it used to be like these were super expensive and you had to be, a certain echelon of socioeconomics to get these kind of things. It's available now for everybody. You just have to shop that, shop a little bit more savvy or shop a little bit more smarter because it's available and you can find good deals on most of these things, almost anything online now.